Hey, we're back at it here on Weekend at Gabe's, show number 8 in the works. We're holding it down. We got a big show lined up tonight on Tuesday night. We're going to be talking with Chicago's own Kastaway, who has the new album out, LP Loan. We're going to be dropping on Friday. We're going to talk about the new project with him and his producer, Crip Boy, who helped produce the album. So we're going to be joining him. Then in just a little bit, we're going to be talking with new face to the clothing design scene here in Chicago, Reko Warren, the owner of Superb Wear. He's going to be joining us to talk a little bit about his journey, where he's at, where you can find his gear at, his inspiration, all that good stuff. So we got a big show lined up. Just a couple things that are happening today. You might have noticed on the Twitters, they added a new function for you to put your video stories on, right? So I was playing with it this morning. Everyone seems to just absolutely. They're called. What is this called? I don't even know. It's called like something Reels. Oh, fleets. They're called fleets. So everyone seems to hate fleets from Twitter, the new add-on, but it seems like everybody wants the edit button instead. So Twitter keeps giving us stuff that we don't want. And Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she even tweeted out that, listen, I'm trying to get away from the stories. That's why I come to Twitter. And now they're bringing the stories over here. And, of course, people hated it across the board. But then on the top of your mobile device, you see nothing but the circle of people's avatars and icons filled with fleets of stories. So as much as we don't hate it, everyone who is marketing or promoting themselves is going to utilize this. The trick is that the fleet disappears after 24 hours. So it's much like... what would you say, what is it, like a Vine, right? Or a TikTok, or no, Snapchat, right? There's so many damn of these social medias out there. But it's amazing what stirs the force. And adding a fleet is what stirs the force. But either way, it's out there, it's part of the working functionality of being a marketeer in social media. We'll be okay. The new Barack Obama book came out right there. Let me try to get that. There it goes. Pick that up today. Look forward to probably going to dive into that this weekend and brush through it. Try to plow through it. And on Tuesday next week, we'll have a review of it. Maybe we'll be able to do some pod tricking and get someone who else has read about it. But he's been doing the rounds and talking about the soon-to-be former president, Trump, a lot. So it's interesting that he's now speaking out about some of the atrocities that's been happening in America. But yeah, I can't wait to get into the new Barack Obama book. Looking forward to that a little bit. Otherwise, you know, a lot of the conversation that's going on right now, of course, is surrounding next week's Thanksgiving Day plans for a lot of people. Here in Chicago, it was just announced on the City of Chicago Twitter page that 1 in 15 Chicagoans now have the coronavirus. So that's going to make things very tricky for a lot of people who are deciding whether or not to hold family functions next week for Thanksgiving. And we are not exempt from that discussion. We are now having that discussion within my family, whether or not we should do it. I am leaning, of course, leaning on the side of not doing it and being cautious because I don't want to get anyone sick and I don't want to get sick. In case you haven't been paying attention, a lot of the ICU units are being at full capacity or near capacity throughout the state and across this country. So if you need to go to the hospital, it's probably not a good time. So I'm going to, lean on the side of caution. But I think everyone is going to have to make that decision for themselves and, whether or not I see you, Reko. Just keep hanging in there. And I think a lot of people are going to have to decide for themselves what they want to do with Thanksgiving next week. That's going to be a tough decision, and it shouldn't be. It's a meal. At the end of the day, it's a meal, right? But I understand that people want to see their family and want to connect, and it's been a really long 2020. We've been in this circle for 8 months, and it sucks. But you don't want to be one of those stories that you hear in the news of an entire family catching the bug, and then 3, 4, 5 members end up not being here for next. I don't know. I would steer on the side of caution. Listen, I live not that far from a testing site here in Chicago, and I drove by it today, and it's at least a 3-4 hour wait to get a test. So just letting you know how serious this is out here, especially here in Chicago. It's not a game, folks. So everyone use their best judgment. So do some fleets instead. Send your family some fleets. That might be the best way to buy yourself some time this week, this holiday season. All right, joining me now, he's in the green room. The owner of Chicago's own Superb Wear, Reko Warren, joins us here on Weekend at Gabe's. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, man. I'm well. I'm doing my best to stay alive in this crazy world right now, man. What's up?
I know. I was just mentioning a little bit about how a lot of us are going to have to make some real tough decisions whether or not to do the family Thanksgiving, and we're discussing it internally, and I voiced my opinion that I think I'm on the side of not doing it because I don't want to get anyone sick, and I don't want to be responsible for anyone getting sick. That's just like a hard thing to have to carry with you. What's going on with your family? Because I know your father, your sister, you guys are very close. So how's that going to work out?
Man, that is a heavy burden. To be honest, at this point, I don't know, man. We're kind of on the fence. Who'd have thought that a Thanksgiving would come where you would have to decide whether or not you would or would not get with your family, man. I never thought I would have to make that decision, but it's come down to that. So I don't know as of yet. I got plans with my mom currently, but it's not set in stone. We're supposed to get together. I'm supposed to help her prepare, Thanksgiving meal. But I tell you what, it's definitely not going to be the same, due to the pandemic and just being limited at what you can really do and just being in close contact with your family. So I don't know if I want to take that risk and putting my family in jeopardy.
No, definitely not.
Because that's more important to me than, I want to have a reason to have things to be able to, be thankful to have my mom another year. So I don't know what I'm going to do at this point, man, to be honest. I really don't know.
Yeah.
We might have to just do a grab and go, stop by and say, I might have to just stop by and say hello and, keep it moving and, and that's about it really. But I won't be visiting any family, man. It's really sad, man, but this is the one time where I won't see any family this year.
Wow.
At all.
It sucks. It's not a good feeling for anyone, and I think people feel guilt tripped into it, and the feelings that you're having right now, because they're like, oh man, like I gotta do, this is a tradition, this is something I do normally, and
right.
I can't be without it. But at the end of the day, it's like, is the risk worth the reward? I don't think so.
Yeah.
And we've gone so long. Like if you're like me and you've been fortunate enough to go through these 8 months and not get sick, I mean, you probably don't want to gamble right about now when it's right at its height. I mean, it's far worse now than it was in the spring. But to be honest, we weren't doing as much testing in the spring, so we don't really know how bad it really was. And so, I mean, it could have been just as bad in the spring, but now we kind of have a better idea of how impactful this virus is. And I don't want to find out your dad, or anyone I know, because they really felt like they needed to do this, and then next week they're like, yo, I hate seeing people take the ICU photo and put on social media.
I know, man.
or just put the wristband like,
Right,
oh
yeah,
man, the hospitals, like, I don't want to see that. That's
yeah, man.
worse.
That's the last thing I want to see, because I feel obligated to have to be with family. But I think they understand, given the situation and where we are right now in this time, that more than anything, life matters.
Absolutely.
I just want to be able to have the opportunity to see all of my family this, come this time next year. And I don't want to jeopardize that, man. Like, so, yeah, at this point, I don't know if I want to take that risk, man. It's a gamble, man. It's really, we're up in the air as far as what we want to do when it comes to my family. And honestly, I've lost enough people in the beginning of this thing to make me, change my perception and how I view things, and not to take things for granted. So I don't know if I want to risk losing more people, especially with where the numbers are at right now, man. The numbers are crazy right now, crazy ridiculous. So I don't know if I want to do that, man.
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel guilt tripped. So, life matters more to me than anything. So I'm not. I don't think I'm gonna see family.
Yeah.
This year, man. It's probably gonna be a solo thing for me, honestly. So.
Hey,
Yeah.
there's plenty of restaurants that need help and support, and I'm sure they're more than happy to do a delivery drive-by and drop off your Thanksgiving dinner. So, if you're one of those folks, take advantage of supporting local restaurants that need that support and that help. So, I don't know what we're gonna. Well, we're gonna end up cooking here, but I don't know I don't know. If I end up going out, I'm getting the NASA spacesuit to go out. So,
yeah.
With the portable oxygen tank. I'm gonna make sure I got the extra.
I'm going out Bubble Boy style, man. I'm serious, man. I'm gonna be in a suit, man, like in my own world. Like,
oh yeah.
I don't know if I will go out. Like I said, if I do go out, I'm gonna stop by mom's just to say hello, because, like I said, I don't want to gamble, man. I don't want to gamble anyone's life. I don't want anyone's life to be in my hands.
No,
I'm not God, so I don't want to be responsible for anyone's life. And again, I'd rather to be able to see my family this time next year than to risk, put my family in jeopardy and not seeing them at all. So absolutely. I don't know, man. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Who would have thought, like, you would be making the decision of a lifetime whether or not you're gonna spend time with family for Thanksgiving, when that's what it's generally about. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy time we're living in right now.
Yeah, so. It absolutely is. So we're bringing you on. We love to talk to. This show is really designed to talk to people who are doing fascinating and interesting things. Shout out to Castaways in the green room, and people who are doing really interesting things. And I met you a few weeks. It was almost like a month ago now, right?
Man, it feels like it, man.
Yeah,
like it does. Like, time, it seems to be going by, so fast, and weeks feel like months, honestly, right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably been it'll be about a month, coming up soon.
Yeah, so we met at an event that took place in Humboldt Park, Rihanna's Treasured Gifts, the breakthrough event that was supporting domestic violence initiatives and their activism that they're doing. And so we were talking a little bit, and you were like, "Yo, I got this clothing line. I do a lot of the work by myself. I'm independent, DIY, everything." I'm like, "This is super interesting. Let's find out a little bit more about it." So Superb Wear, let's get into it. You when did you launch? What was the well? Let's rewind a little bit. Did you when people design, usually they kind of have like an inkling of like skill that they've developed, or there's something that has motivated or inspired them. How did you get into the fold of wanting to design your own clothes?
Oh man, it's a long story, but I'm gonna try to make it really short. First and foremost, I'm gonna give a little origin story of myself, a little background. I'm from Chicago originally, born and raised. But I I started out in the fashion industry. My first job was at 4, man, and I started out modeling at the age of 4.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was my first gig, man. I had a career at 4 years old, man. Like, yeah, man. I knew what independency was, man, at a young age, and what it was like to, have your own and to be responsible, man. It taught me a lot. It added, as far as like value and responsibility. But I started out modeling. I did that up until the age of, I want to say 9. I pushed it till 13 because that was the cutoff point for the kids market. And I pushed it as long as I could, man, because it's something I really enjoyed. I just love fashion, man. I was all about it. Fast forward, honestly, I started out dancing. I was a performer, man. I started out dancing first and foremost. I was on a dance team for a while. Then once I stopped dancing, I went into art, man. That's when I got into art. I did art for a very long time, and then I had the opportunity to go to an art school, and that flopped, man. Once that happened, I got seriously discouraged, and for the longest time, I didn't do anything. And then I called myself getting into music. I did music for a little while, and finally, fast forward to 2017. I was at work, got a work injury, and this is how my business started. I was at work, I had a work injury. I was out, for a while. I'm like, yo, I need to do something. I'm going stir crazy, man. I'm going crazy. What can I do? Mind you, I couldn't use when the injury occurred, it occurred with my wrist, my right arm, and that's my dominant hand. And I'm sitting like, yo, what am I gonna do? And out of nowhere, like, I got inspired to start painting again, man. So I started painting. This is one of my paintings behind me here. I don't know if you can really see it, but I started painting again due to a work injury. So if it wasn't for the work injury, it wouldn't have led to me to do painting. I was like, once I started painting, I was like, I want to do more. I'm like, I want to do more. I had the urge to do more. I was like, I got to do more. And then I was like, man, fashion clicked. I was like, what if I merged the two together with art and fashion? Because it's kind of like one and the same when it comes to design and graphic designs. And beforehand, when I was drawing, I designed prom dresses. I was like, man, I can apply the same concept, but what if I, painted, on clothing, and so that's what I started doing. This is actually like not my very first piece, but I started doing stuff like this. And I started painting on clothing. I don't know if you can see that, but I started painting on clothing, man. And it was like really therapeutic for me. I'm like, man, this is something that I really enjoy doing. I made the most of it. I got to the point where I got really busy. And the more I started painting on clothing, the more attention I started getting because it was different. And the more carpal tunnel I started developing, man. Oh my gosh, man, it was so bad. But then with that happening, that transitioned me over into digital arts, man. So and all this was self-taught, man. I didn't know nothing. When I say nothing, I didn't know anything about digital arts at all, man. Everything was self-taught. I started watching what I like to call adult Sesame Street YouTube. I used the things that I from YouTube that I learned, and I applied it, man. And from there, like I started going real heavy in the designing game, man. And I've been learning and growing ever since. But I needed to find a way for it to be more sufficient and convenient to reproduce a lot quicker, because painting and then trying to mimic and create the same thing over and over, it was very meticulous and time consuming, man. It was like tedious, and like I say, man, carpal tunnel started setting in. I was like, I got to figure something out. So that's when that transition happened, man. It was like the Phoenix. I was born again. I was like, yo, this is it. I'm taking a step in another direction, and I've been doing digital art ever since. And then, like, for instance, this is something that I created digitally for Rihanna's Treasured Gifts, man, which was an honor. Shout out to them for allowing me to work with them.
Absolutely.
What an awesome organization, and impactful and empowering. But ever since then, like I said, I just been dealing with digital arts, man. It's a lot easier for me to work with. I can, produce a lot faster, but it's just me, man. I started this, like I said, in 2017, just painting, just drawing first and foremost. I would have to draw. It was a couple of steps. I would have to draw, then, pick out the colors, man, and then paint and fill all that in. But that's how it all started, man, from a work incident. Had that not happened, honestly, I probably would have said, forget it. I wouldn't have thought nothing of it, but like, that led me to here. I've had up and downs, man. It's been really tough. There's some times where I want to give up, man, and say forget it. But I've learned that, my failures have become a lesson, and those lessons have, pushed me to go harder and further in doing this, man. And I'm constantly growing. It's right now, I'm currently working on some projects for a collaboration with shoes. So I'm working on that. So that's hush hush. That's something in the works that's coming up in the near future. Yeah, so I'm getting into that because I started to do more. I always crave to do more, man. So when I started doing the painting of clothes, I started doing shoes too. And I really, it really didn't stick. I didn't stick with it too much, but I started doing that for a little while. I met with someone recently that I'm going to be collaborating with, to introduce, a line of shoes for Superb Wear Clothing and luggage, man, bags, purses, backpacks and different things like that. So that's the latest as far as the things that's in the work for me, man. And that's the story, man. That's how Superb Wear got started, all from a work incident.
How challenging is it to break into the scene here in Chicago? It seems like it's very competitive.
It is, man. It's a lucrative business. It's very competitive because now, especially now more than ever, everyone's deciding to want to do, a clothing brand. It's easy to start, but it takes consistency. Consistency is key, man. And knowing what you can and can't do and just being focused. But it's really challenging. But the thing is, having in this game, man, in this industry, the thing is having a niche. And when you have a niche, you're noticed. You stand out. No matter how many, because there's so many designers, man, when it comes to shirts, all kind of apparel. But like, what sets you apart from everyone else is how different and unique, your items are. Sure. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm still surviving, man, because what I do is unique and different and it stands out. I try to be different. That's another reason why I started this, because I wanted to be different. I wanted to customize. I'm very color coordinated, so I wanted to customize things to people liking, to my liking. So not only am I an owner, but I'm also a client to myself, man. I'm one of my biggest fans, but that's the reason why, that's another reason why I started, because I wanted to be able to, suit someone's and cater to their appearance as far as what they like. But yeah, to go back to what you said, it's challenging, but it's what you make of it, man. And it's possible to make it with consistency. You just got to stand out and be different.
So right now, I know you don't have like a brick and mortar store, so you're very much doing it independently. How are you? Like if because so what the work that you were doing with Rihanna's Treasured Gifts, for example, that was obviously a custom order of work that you were doing that was specifically designed for that event. Is that something that you're more focused in doing, or kind of doing like a mass production of shirts and sweatshirts, or like kind of like where does the focus lie with Superb Wear? Because I know you're talking about like the individuality of hand painting the shirts and the items, but now you're moving into the digital space where you can obviously mass produce. So where do you kind of see, or the intention or the objective of Superb Wear? Like what do you foresee the future of the items that people will be wearing of yours?
Man, for that, I honestly I want to move from like customization, and just mass produce, and still implement that customization and mass production, because with customizing it's becoming few and few. Everyone's doing it, but it's about how different and unique you are. So as far as the future for Superb Wear, um, don't get me wrong, I enjoy customizing, man. So from time to time, I will customize specialized pieces for people. But the future of Superb Wear is manufacturing. I want to manufacture on a large scale to cater to everybody, man, to reach, to fulfills everyone's vision and dreams as far as
Sure.
appearance and what they would like. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm currently in the process of working on, manufacturing and a couple of wholesale deals and collaborations. Like I said, I'm not gonna, my first baby, I'm not gonna, drop that completely as far as customization, because customization also plays a part in the creating process for manufacturing and mass producing clothing. So it's still going to be hand in hand, because you can't have one without the other. But most of the focus is going to be on the mass producing and manufacturing branding. I'm gonna, as far as my brand, which I have my brand is Superb Wear Clothing, but I have collections under those brands that I want to mass produce to get out to the world, because this is something that people need to see. So
yeah,
I'll spend less time customizing. Like I say, I'll definitely customize things for charities and teams and schools or whatever, for great causes. I'm definitely gonna stick with doing that, man, because that's something that I love doing. But as far as the direction and future for Superb Wear Clothing, it'll be manufacturing and mass producing for me, going forward in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. Where I guess right now, like where how can people contact you, or how can they reach out to you? Is there? I know you're still in the very early stages. You're kind of like myself. Yeah. You're DIY. Like I'm my own producer. I do,
man. I'm a one man
show,
show,
booking.
man. I do it all.
Yeah. So like, with that being said, what's like how are people able to see some of the work or order some of the work that you do have out there, or where do you live on the internet?
Oh man, so I do have a web page. It's www.wearsuperbwearclothing. Then I'm on Instagram. I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram at Superb Wear Clothing, as well as Facebook Superb Wear Clothing. You can also even my personal page, Reko Warren. I dedicate that to my business as well. So you can look me up, man. If you got internet, you got a mobile device, search, man. You know what I'm saying? You can find anything, but just look for Superb Wear Clothing. You can't miss it. You put it in, you type it in Google, you can find it. I'm almost on every social media platform there is. You can find me on there. You can get a hold of me via email. Even, it's superbwear17@yahoo.com. And like I said, via my website at www.wearsuperbwear.com. And then, the social media platforms you can also reach me at.
Yeah, definitely go and find Reko and support local businesses, especially during this point now.
Yeah.
I was mentioning that, we're mentioning like supporting restaurants and all that, but definitely during this point, I think that the city of Chicago announced yesterday that they're doing like a Black local Black Friday shopping to inspire people to support local businesses that are hurting during the pandemic. So, Reko and Superb Wear, that would be a great opportunity for you to support a local entrepreneur, and and also help build his brand and his product so that we can see it. So definitely do that and then partake if you can.
Absolutely.
Reko, man, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'd love to have you back sometime after the new year. Well, once once you get a little bit more grounded and a little bit more momentum building. So I look forward to seeing what you're gonna do next.
Oh man, I can't wait, man. I look forward to talking with you again. by the time I'll be on a whole nother level, we'll have a lot more to talk about, man.
Oh, absolutely. I can't imagine that you won't be successful at this.
Oh man, yeah, and this is the time for it, man. Despite everything that's going on right now, this has actually been more helpful than harmful to me because it's driven me to go so much harder right now because I have, I'm working like I have a lot to lose because I do. So this is honestly keeping me motivated, man. And I have a lot of people to be motivated for in doing so. So failure is not an option, man. So look forward to some great things coming from Superb Wear Clothing. Also, I'm gonna shout it out again, Rihanna's Treasure Gifts, who's right now doing a winter drive for the needy. You can find them on social media as well at Rihanna's Treasure Gifts on Facebook, Instagram, and I believe Snapchat. So support something that that's impactful and doing something that's a great cause and empowering and helping the community. But yeah, man, that's it for me. I got a hot meal that I got waiting on me, man, that I cooked up. It's ready, man. That's ready. That's been ready for me, and I'm ready for it. But thank you for having me on, Gabe, man. It's been an awesome experience, man. I appreciate it, and I look forward to this time again, man. Soon.
Absolutely. We'll definitely have you back, man. I appreciate it. Enjoy your dinner. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday and week. All right, man. We'll check in soon. Thank you, Reko.
You as well, man. Take care.
All right, that was Reko Warren with Superb Wear here on Weekend at Gabe's. Holding down your Tuesday night like we always do around this time. It's only been a month of shows, but we're starting to get a little bit more consistent in the way where we're working. Last week we had to cancel our show. I had a bit of an emergency, so I had to deal with some personal things. So we're back at it this Tuesday. Jalen Gatz was supposed to join us next Tuesday, but guess what? He's going to join us on Friday, also with Rise Over Envy, who has the new album out. So we're gonna have a premiere of a new album, and we're gonna talk with Jalen Gatz, who also put out an album right at the tail end of the summer and the fall that was fantastic. So Friday night is gonna be a really fun night. So make sure you check us out here at on Weekend at Gabe's on Twitch at 8:00. Make sure you tell everyone to come over to Twitch and so you can follow and get some of our views up. Yeah, and so our next guest, I think they're getting situated. I see Kastaway getting situated. Crit Boy seems to have departed from the stew, so we're gonna give him a moment to wing it back. But don't forget to just give us a follow on the social medias at Weekend Gabe across all the platforms. I'm every and anywhere. I try to spend my try to get some great content up. We're simulcasting on YouTube every show, but then we'll chop up the interviews. So if anything you missed with Reko at the top of the hour, we'll definitely rebroadcast that on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Audio Mac. So we'll definitely get that content and that audio out there as well as the video. So don't worry about it. We got you guys covered. And yours truly will make sure that the audio is plentiful. Last week we had a bit of a difficulty with some of the audio with our guest, and we were able to fix that up. So it worked out really well. All right, so looks like everyone's getting set up in their respective guest rooms. Friend of the show here on Weekend at Gabe's. He came down last year to promote his last album that came out, which was in 2019. So this guy's actually been working a lot lately. So I'm gonna give him his props because he's actually been like really hustling and putting it down. The fight for it all. He came down to WLUW Studio Sunday morning. We had a great chat during the show and then after the show. We've connected during this past year, especially during the pandemic. We share a common work experience. And it's a pleasure to rope in Kastaway here on a Weekend at Gabe's. I'm not sure what happened to Crip Boy. He was with us and then he dropped off, so hopefully he'll join us.
Yeah, Cricket Boy, I don't know what's going on. Probably a technology issue, if anything.
He did say he was having some issues with his phone, so if he's able to rejoin us, we'll bring him back in. So no worries.
Yeah. But shout out to him. We're gonna talk about him a lot anyway. So hopefully he's listening.
It's all good, man. How are you doing this evening, man?
Man, I'm tired. I'm working, man. Getting ready for Friday, man. It's a lot going on.
I'm all
right.
So the new album out, LP Loan, it's gonna drop on Friday.
Yeah.
You're very excited about it. You came to my home and made sure I got the physical copy, which I have right here.
Yeah. I meant to give it to you a while ago, but I knew I wanted to give it to certain people close to when it came out because I like that whole element of surprise the week the album dropped. I don't like it when certain friends of mine who already heard it don't listen to it when it come out. It's like so annoying. So I'm like, nobody. Yeah.
So and I was messaging to you because I think this is going to be a common issue for some folks that obviously we're moving into the digital space. Computers don't carry CD players anymore. And I think I have like a huge boombox CD player, like a 3 CD ring changer, but it's sitting in the basement somewhere. So CD players are not something that's like active in my household. So I had to steal a clock radio that had a CD player on it to listen to it.
Yeah. I didn't want to email it. I could have emailed it, but
no, it's fine. It's fine. I think it's to me though. Even though I do this with a lot of artists, because even though the album is digitally ready, and that's obviously it's a lot more convenient to play stuff on your phone or through through any sort of streaming device, but I still like buying the physical or having the physical, because to me that feels like my bucks are actually can be like held onto. I can feel the physical item. I can't hold MP3, folks.
I'm glad you said that. During the pandemic, I kind of went crazy and got into vinyl, and it made me appreciate music on a physical piece of media again, because with the whole digital thing, everything is so easily disposable. It's frustrating. It's real frustrating. So, I'm always going to have CDs on deck, but, as we get closer to releasing the album, you see I have the vinyl, and you see it's a cool piece of art. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful cover, by the way.
Thank you. Shout out to my man Jonathan. Man, Jonathan is he's my partner when it comes to any piece of art, clothing, anything that has something to do with me, my name, my brand. My guy Jonathan, you'll see him everywhere with me. That's my partner.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful cover. So if you have, I know you got the merch that you're going to be rolling out. So
yeah. I'm gonna surprise people at the album release that we're doing virtually with 606 Records this Friday. So, just let everybody know to tune in at 7:00. We're gonna do it live from the record store. It's gonna be socially distanced. We're gonna be healthy, and we're gonna play the whole album in its entirety. And I'm gonna be revealing the cool art that we have on deck to support this project, and not just support the project, but just to support a movement of cultural unity, especially amongst Blacks and Latinos, because anybody who knows me know that's my whole life. So I had to do it,
I mean, with the album itself, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm hoping that we can figure out the Crip Boy can join us, because we had him in the guest room and he disappeared, and I'm not sure what's happening. But the album kind of opens up with like some audio that was captured during many of the week of rioting that Chicago experienced, and in some of the places. And like Pilsen and Little Village, there were like stories of the Latin Mexican community targeting the Blacks in Chicago, and there was like a lot of unrest around that idea, because that we like minority groups or people of color, Black and brown. Like it feels like that this is a time that we should be uniting, not fighting each other.
That's exactly how I felt. I mean, it was frustrating to hear for me, because I'm from North Lawndale, and I'm from like the tail end of North Lawndale. I'm right by the viaduct. I grew up right by the viaduct that separates Lawndale and Little Village. And I got friends who I grew up with over there. Man Cub, the singer from the song I did with the song we did, Sing This Song. He's from over there, you know what I mean? And it just bothered me seeing us go at it at a time where, we have a president who's not really rocking with either one of us, right? And we sitting here fighting each other, and it was so frustrating. It was so frustrating. And then I was getting like messages on my social media from people I went to high school with, like, you need to pick a side, us or your Mexican daddy. And I'm like, first of all, let me tell y'all something. I ain't picking no sides. I'm me, 100%. Number two, my pops ain't Mexican. All right?
I was about to say, like,
my pops is Puerto Rican. All right? Puerto Rican. And guess what? He on my album. And he got something to say. So,
right.
you know, I just felt like, yo, people are wilding. And I talked to Cricket Boy. We always work together musically, but this time it hit him. And I was talking to Words. I was talking to Mike Logic. And we was all just talking about, man, let's do something creatively. And I literally finished this whole album in 8 days. As far as all of my recording. You know, I got the studio in the crib, did all my recording in 8 days. And it was my response to what was going on in the world.
Yeah. That was you know, there's a line you say on King where it's like, you know, like these eyes have seen it all. You know, but when the George Floyd murder occurred, I think I can speak for you that I don't think we've ever seen anything like that before.
No. I was, you know what? It bothered me. I wasn't surprised, but it did hit me in a different way. It did. For some reason, like to hear him cry for his mom, you know what I mean? And as a black man, you know, I love my mom, you know what I mean? My mom was a single mom, and it's like, you know, we have this complex where we have to save our mothers. And for him to call for his mom, like right then and there, it just bugged me out. It just totally, it made me angry. And it was like, yo, how can you justify that? Like, how? And then I seen people like Candace Owens and other unknown people say he's not a hero. We never called him a hero, okay?
Right.
The incident itself was more like a catalyst to, like, I don't even want to say spark, but just put more energy into things that we've been saying and we've been feeling, right?
Right.
And I just wanted to use this album to speak on it because I'm not one of them social media warriors where I'm posting Martin Luther King and Malcolm X quotes 24/7. I don't even like social media. There go Cricket Boy right there. That's my man.
He made it.
Yo,
made it. We got you. All right, we got.
What's up?
Yeah.
Good. Go ahead. Complete your thought, Kastaway.
I'm someone who I'm gonna speak through my music. Everybody know I tell my business. Unfortunately, I tell all my business, and I'm gonna speak how I feel through the music. And if you know me personally, you know I'm out there and what I do to try to contribute to a better society. I feel like I shouldn't have to use Facebook to speak. My life speaks, my art speaks, and yeah, it just hurt me. It hurt me, man. It hurt me. And to hear him cry for his mom, I was like, yo, you know what I thought about too? And I don't want to keep this going. People who I know personally who doubt things like this exist. It had me thinking for a while. What if somebody like me, a guy who you know is working on being a good man every day, what if that was me? What would you say then?
Yeah.
Because that could have been me. And it was almost me. I talk about that in the album. It was like a few weeks later, I had an incident with a cop that turned wrong based on a lie. So I let people listen to the album to figure that out. But Cricket Boy, what up?
Yeah, thanks for joining us here on Weekend at Games, man. I'm glad we can get the technical issues going. We appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, what's up, Gabe? How are you feeling?
Good. Up Alone is the new album from Kastaway, produced by Cricket Boy. It's due out on Friday. You guys are going to have the release party at 606 Records, socially distant. So if you guys want to come out and support, please do so.
Yeah, all you have to do is log into 606 Instagram live. Just press the button. It's going to be fire. The music is dope. You know, we giving away a bunch of cool stuff. I don't want to announce everything, but we giving away a bunch of dope stuff. Get ready.
I just need a poster. I really want the poster.
I got one on deck, actually. I got one for you.
All right, cool. All right, bet. I'll pay for it. I was joking with one of our guests last week. I was like, yo, I need the free sweater, and I messaged him. I'm just joking. I'm not a degenerate. But Cricket Boy, I was telling Castaway that I was listening to this record like 3-4 times today, and it's just like it's just a soulfully easy on the ears production, well done. I think there's a couple like really like hard records. The Posse Cut, Lawndale La Familia is probably like the hardest record on there, but the for the most part, like the production that you brought to Castaway, what were you did you kind of have like a lot of these sounds pre-prepared, or did you and Castaway craft what you guys wanted to do? How did you guys go into the production of this album?
A mix of both, because in fact, the beat for Kings with Words, that's a beat that I had made like 3 years ago. That's one example of a beat I already had in the vault, but it just fit the project perfectly. Another track, The Feel, we made that joint in person. That's when I first met Kastaway. I went to Chicago summer, and we linked up finally, because we've been working for a minute, like I would say a good decade.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the project itself, just a culmination of like all those years.
Yeah.
So for Castaway, for people who don't know El Pilon, what the meaning behind that is, please educate us.
All right, so Pete, y'all already know my pops Puerto Rican. So let me tell you what it is.
We learned that today.
Yeah. I gotta give clarity to stuff. I wish he was here to explain it. But basically, let me give you a bit of a backstory. I know I'm talking too much. The initial title I had in my head was called The Broken Viaduct. And I wanted it to represent Lawndale and Little Village. But Cricket Boy he's from the Bay Area. So it's like it wouldn't necessarily speak to him, though he enjoyed the music, it couldn't speak to him. And I wanted my pops to be on the album, and I wanted him to do some kind of poem, and I wanted him to do it in Spanish, right? I think he had a ghostwriter. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I hate to put him on blast, but I think he had a ghostwriter on that poem. He don't want to admit it. We talked about the Pilon, which everybody know it's a tool used in the Puerto Rican community to make different spices and different pretty much different spices that they use in their food.
Right.
And it's very similar to the mogajate, and it's very similar to another tool. Mogajete, and it's used. It's a lot of tools similar in Africa, right? So I'm like, dang, we got this common thing that we use the same way, and I ain't even know, right? So I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. Then I thought about the way I grew up here in Chicago. I grew up around nothing but Blacks, Mexicans, and Puerto Ricans. Then I thought about the people who made this album, Blacks, Mexicans, and Puerto Ricans. So my pops did the poem, and it's the intro to the album, and it's called El Pelon, but the full title is El Pelon de la Vida. And he talked about the blending of these different cultures, and how it makes this flavorful world, and this flavorful world being, us, and especially in Chicago, and then this album, right? So I wanted to reflect that, but I also know I have a tendency to kind of let a lot of my art reflect like the Puerto Rican influence. So we had to switch the cover to represent for the Mexicans, you know what I mean? Because, there's a Mexican who worked on his album, so I gotta, represent that part, and want to do something to represent all of us. And plus, it didn't look right on the cover, I'm gonna be honest. We tried it, it didn't look right. It didn't reflect what we wanted to reflect, so we had to swap it out. But we kept the title. Yeah.
Cricket Boy, when Castaway was coming up with these songs and you guys were game planning what the mission was going to be, did you have any input on kind of helping them guide towards reaching his goal?
Yeah, I think part of my job as the producer was to really receive everything that Cass was trying to do, and implement that input and really create beats that would fit this vision.
Yeah, I didn't Cricket Boy, I didn't know where you reign from, but now that Castaway mentioned that you're from the Bay Area, so Song to Sing?
title's wrong.
Sing the song.
Yeah, sing the song.
Yeah,
That definitely
Sing the
sounds
song.
like a Bay Area record.
yeah, it totally is.
And I was like, as soon as he said that, I was like, yes, like it makes sense now.
yeah.
But there's a lot of like little like whistles and like elements in the production that like triggered my West Coast antenna, and I'm like, but I didn't know, and now it all makes sense.
Yeah, it's been, you know, for the longest time just a key feature to my sound and what I do and what I provide for people. And you know, even though Dominique Cass, you know, hails from West Side of Chicago, it goes so well, you know, somehow.
Yeah,
it just fits in that pocket. And
oh yeah, absolutely, it aligned perfectly, and the record definitely it just has like it has like this very uplifting, positive vibe and feel behind it, and I wasn't going into it thinking that like this is a Chicago. It felt like a Chicago album. It felt just like a hip hop record. But then it had like these elements that I identify with from hip hop, from West Coast production, that you were able to sprinkle into it. So like the scratching and all that stuff, like that felt like very hip hopish to me. But then there was just like these other little intangible items that were like throughout the record, and I think it goes back into sort of the overall sound of what Kastaway was trying to include, his background and all the different feelings that were happening this year. But then when you also gravitate towards the West Side of Chicago story mixed with the West Coast brand, and there's a certain organic fusion that's happening, and it just feels really good to listen to.
Right, yeah. I think, you know, had I not actually visited Chicago last year, I wouldn't have been able to really do like the album justice, because I wouldn't have been informed into, you know, making it sound right.
Right.
'Cause I've always had like my style, and Castaway's had his style, but you know, that one-on-one meeting and just going in the studio, and he actually like drove me around like the West Side. You know, I went to Harold's, and you know, I tried mouth sauce for the first time. It was just like a real like Chicago experience. So like he gave me like the tour. Yeah, I felt at home. So that was like the catalyst for me to like finish it, and you know.
And that day when we finally met in person, it was so dope. And the first record we did on it, I'm looking at the record right here, was The Fill with Mike Logic. Mike Logic actually wasn't on it at first. He wasn't. It was a semi-freestyle, and it was me and Grits on there. But I kind of went a little too personal in the second verse. It was threatening somebody who I talked about on another song in his album. So I'm like, I don't like this. I might have to change it. And then I sent the song to Mike Logic. I let him check it out. And then he sent this verse back so quick. I'm like, dang, this verse fire. I had to make a third verse. It was no way I was going to let Mike watch me on my own joint like that. You know what's crazy about Mike Logic verse? I played the song for my uncle, right? My uncle is on the track number 8, Uncle D's Interlude. He's a pastor. He really liked Mike Logic's verse because Mike Logic verse was talking about, you know, the challenges of being in a relationship that holds faithful to monogamy. And I appreciated that. You know what I mean? I appreciated that because I'm single and I don't really be rapping about marriage and love like that because I got a bad attitude sometimes when it comes to love. But it was just so dope. It's so smooth and so poetic. And I was happy to hear Mike Logic in that bag because he's a rapper's rapper.
Yeah, no, he's amazing.
Yeah, and he came into my world and fit right in.
The thing, like Mike, he came by. This is when his album came out, like a year or two ago. He came by the morning show, and it looked like he just like got off work. Like I don't know what he does for a living, but it's like very blue collar. He just like came in. He might have had like a flannel jacket on or something like that, but it's like he doesn't fit the scope of what you think like a rapper should be. But he's phenomenal. He's really good at what he does.
He's good. Like he inspires me, and I'm gonna tell you. I think I told you this last year. I don't really have a lot of rapper friends that I could call like friends in real life.
Sure,
but like Mike Logic and Words are two people who Like, and Ideal and that whole Shy Native camp, they are like real people, and I consider real friends. Like, I share personal health issues with them over the phone. That was another thing we failed to mention. When Cricket Boy and I started this album, I quit rapping right after because I got sick again. So I quit. You know what I mean? I totally quit. I wasn't feeling it. But all this stuff happened, and I literally just rapped through my pain. And I didn't feel any pain while making this whole album. It was a blessing. It was a blessing. Yeah.
What was that I'm struggling with this.
You know, the esophagus issues.
Therapeutic.
Yeah. It was therapeutic, and it was inspiring. And Mike Logic played a big part in that. I ain't even gonna front, man. That dude, I listened to his album a lot, even though it came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
he got some cuts on there, and I don't mean to bring his race in there, but he's a bold white boy. I ain't gonna front. He got songs talking about the Mexican struggle and stuff like that, and I'm like, yo, he really, really, really. On our side, I look at him on social media. He be repping for us, you know, us Black and Latinos, and like I'm inspired by his pen, and you know, words are just always fire. He's so fire, it irritates me. He irritates me because he's always like rapping good. He's never whack. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So that's dope. That's dope. And they my friends, and they on this album. Yeah.
There's the other record on there, "Live Your Life," which is like kind of like trying to avoid getting the term. You know, like how have you guys, especially you, Cricket Boy, because since you guys are finalizing this record remotely, like how have you been able to manage during this period this year of quarantine and isolation?
That's a good question. I mean, I think just due to my line of work, it just comes second nature anyway to kind of just be like reclusive.
Sure.
So, you know, it's not a huge difference in the day to day, but you know, obviously with everything going around, it's a huge adjustment for everyone else. So, I think there's more eyes and ears on it.
Yeah.
And you know, the music will speak for itself as well. So.
Yeah.
I think
That's why it's like
poignant album, and you know, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, with that record in particular, I think it was like kind of one of those like, you know, like you shouldn't stop living your life because everything around like the world is stopping. You know, like still find joy and things that make you happy. You know, and that's what I kind of took away from that record. It's like, you know, either our last guest, like he kind of like used this time to start a clothing company, and there's other people who are using this time to reflect and strengthen their self and physical health, you know, and so it's like that I think that's what a lot of people use this time as, and I think that record kind of like identifies with that a little bit.
Yeah, I also want to address it's not encouraging people to go wild out and avoid social distance. I talk about seeing
quite the opposite.
15 feet away. You feel me? Because I be feeling that pressure, man. I be like, you know, I got health issues. I ain't gonna lie about it. So I'm telling everybody, yo, if you ain't got on no mask, stay away from me. I'm not even gonna body slam you. I'm gonna throw something at you or something.
Yeah.
Stay away from me. So, but I still wanted to find some kind of encouragement for people to see each other with the mask on. And it was right when the world was opening up a little bit. So I felt good, and that's another one of them beats Cricket Boy had sitting for a minute.
Yeah. I'll say good like few years, and you dug it up, and it fit perfect.
Yeah.
I mean the record, the thing with Kastaway is like you're always very personal on your records anyways, but this one was it just seems more in tune to everything that's happening, probably because you recorded it this year and a lot of the content is reflective of current events. So it just has that personal feel that you always do, but also addressing the social injustices that are occurring and how it affects you. You know, like you mentioned, like you're in Lawndale, which is like a cross area between the brown and Latin community that's south of Lawndale and near the courthouse,
Yeah, yeah.
and north of that is predominantly black when you cross Ogden. So you were experiencing a lot of like that racial tension.
Right.
That's something that's usually just said in like sort of just naturally described whenever these incidents happen, but you were actually dealing with racial tension because of your biracial background, and like you were mentioning that pulling of like of trying to align with certain demographics.
Hold on. Let's clear this. I'm like, what's the word? Psychologically biracial, because I do have a lot of Puerto Rican influence in me because it's because who I'm raised by. You know what I mean? But I'm very much Soul Train Black. I'm very much, I eat mad catfish. I stop eating it, but it's like crack. I'm eating mad catfish. You know what I mean? Like real. I was gonna do a record called Catfish and Plantains. I ain't even gonna lie.
Oh man, that'd be amazing. There you go.
Yeah. I was gonna do it.
We got a question from the chat space. Someone asked like who do you, but not the everyone needs to hear this record, but like is there an audience that you're directing this record towards hearing? Is this to bridge any racial tension that people may be having, or like to heal any wounds? Like how should people listen to this record, or who should be listening to this record?
You want to answer that, Cricket Boy?
I think everyone can listen to it, but I think the intended audience, of course, is a Black and Latinx community in America. And I think more specifically in Chicago and the Bay Area. And right now I actually live in the DC area. I'm just relocated. But
wow.
As far as like relevance and poignancy goes, I just wanted to make something that came from the heart. And something for the people in this time.
Yeah.
No, and I think that we need more of these kind of records, and I don't say that to gush about the album because I think it's great, but also I think that I think too often people or artists or hip hop artists in general will kind of like hit the surface of what's happening, and it doesn't seem genuine because sometimes like I don't want to say, but there's popular artists who I think kind of use these moments as selling points, and it's like for example, like Black Lives Matters was so like forbidden to say, and now now it's like a branding marketing thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's not intention to be like that, but it kind of loses its impact, but because of how now commercially accepted it is to say, but for so long it wasn't, and now it feels like that's what a lot of kind of hip hop artists are doing. They're jumping on this like, oh, race sells, let me do a race record. And
I think I agree with you. In fact, I have conversations about it a lot. Like it's super corny. You got rappers who literally last year rap about killing each other, and you know what I mean, selling dope to each other. And don't get it twisted, I listen to some of that stuff too. But then this year, all of a sudden, they sound like some, African historian college professors out there. I don't even know how to read. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? You talking about you want unity in your town, but literally you was just fighting at the club last year. What are you talking about? Like, no. And the thing with guys like me and Cricket Boy, like we genuine people. Like I live this. If you even go through my personal profile, I've been living this cultural unity thing. Like this ain't nothing new. And like I said, I don't want to tell too much of my professional life outside of music, but I do this. My whole life is dedicated to building Black children, building brown children, and really underprivileged children. I do this. Like I really do this, and I'm passionate about it. So this album just ain't an album for us, especially for me. It's literally what I do. So
right. Yeah. So it just so happens that like me and Cass, like we are and have been like mentors. I was doing some mentoring in the Bay and in DC recently. Just like teaching kids how to make music and use like a better outlet. And that was a really eye-opening thing over these past couple of years. Being just going beyond a producer and actually being like a teacher.
Yeah.
It's just super, super important. And I feel for these kids now too, man, just doing everything remotely online
Right.
if they can.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I have a fifth grader who it's struggle season, and we talked about that with Castaway. I don't know if you're familiar with Def C. He's an educator himself, and he talked a little bit about the struggles with remote learning. It's everyone's struggling in some capacity in this country. Some far more worse than others, but there's the everyday struggle. It is real.
It is. It is.
The new album El Pilon, it's out. Pilon. Let me use my minimal Spanish accent. That is out Friday on all streaming platforms, I assume, so people will be able to download it and put it into their lives.
And if you're in the Chicago area, is the vinyl and the CD is going to be in stores.
The vinyl looks really dope. You showed me a photo of it.
Yeah, we're going to show it to the world on Friday. We're going to premiere it live at the virtual release party. It's special, but it's going to be in 606 Records. It's going to be at Record Breakers and Sugar Records. So it's going to be on deck, y'all. Y'all can, even though the stores are technically closed, you can still buy it online and pick it up. So please go to the local record stores, show them love, show me love, show Cricket Boy love.
There you go. That's what I like to hear, man. Congratulations on the album, guys. It's a fantastic listen to. I highly encourage anyone who's listening or watching us now that they'll go and support on Friday and support it either by purchasing it or at least streaming it if you can. So it's a fantastic listen. Trust me when I tell you this. Guys, thank you so much, Cricket Boy, for checking in from DC. I'm glad you're safe, especially after the MAGA weekend that was out there in DC. I'm glad you're okay.
Oh man, you paid it no mind. I was well far away from it.
Well, I'm glad you were safe. I hope that you marked yourself safe on Facebook. Where we're glad that you're okay.
Yeah.
And then Castaway, man, thank you so much again for joining us here on the weekend at Gabe's and being a friend of the show. I appreciate you getting the record to me ahead of time so we could talk about it a little bit more in depth, man. Please let us know if you ever need anything.
Man, thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
All right, man. All right, you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night, whatever's left of it.
Yeah. Peace.
All right, Gabe.
All right, Cricket Boy and Castaway joining us here on Weekend at Gabe's. And that's going to be our time tonight. Thanks to everyone for checking in with us here on Twitch. We're also simulcast streaming on Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook. And we'll put the audio up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audio Mac probably tomorrow or Thursday at some point. But Friday night we got a big show. Rise Over Envy is going to be joining us. He has a new album out. And then also Jen and Gats, another Chicago MC, is going to be joining us. And then maybe next Tuesday we'll do a Barack Obama book recap. I'll try to spend the next 4 days trying to plow through that bad boy. It's like 500 pages. It's a lot. It's like a $45 book, and you can definitely feel the $45 on it. But everyone enjoy their week. Was talking on Friday. Don't forget to follow me on the social medias at Weekend Gabe, and get at me if you need anything. Take care, everyone. Good night.